Hey, welcome to the Black Umbrella, where all we do is whine about the world around us. We cover sports, politics, current events, and whatever else we can fit under our umbrella. Right now, subscribe to this podcast and receive updates about new episodes and content at umbrellapodcast.com. And don't forget to hit the bell on our YouTube page to get notified of new visuals. This is a show for every hyphen American. We are your hosts, Dibs C. Watt, and the host of Chris's Corner, Chris Jones. And today we are talking about solutions to the problem and answering your questions sent to us via email and website. Let's start the show.
Right, like. All right, there you go.
Hey, welcome to the Black Umbrella, where all we do.
Okay.
So last week we got into Joe Biden's comments, surrounding if we do not vote for him, we ain't black. This week has been centered around a lot of black activity. So, Chris, I'm gonna start with you. I want to know what started all of this. I know that's a loaded question.
I mean, any question is a loaded question with me. Me personally, I don't believe this started with the killing of George Floyd. To me, this goes back to, I want to say as far back as Rodney King. As far as I can remember, police brutality being a whole issue in the United States. I mean, it goes back farther than that, but my first recollection, I think of decades of oppression. There isn't a song called F the Police for no reason. Even the FBI came out and put out a memo that how the white supremacist group were infiltrating the law enforcement system, the criminal justice system. So this has been an issue for decades and decades, and I feel like right now what's happening is it's building up. It's been building up, and now it's spilling over. When you see the way that George Floyd was murdered, and like he's laying there with his hands behind his back, a knee in his neck, he's saying, "I can't breathe." We've already seen that type of situation before. We saw that with Eric Gardner, and we see this the same exact situation. This man did nothing wrong. And the brutality of it was just like the fact that I think everybody could see in that video how the police didn't care.
Yeah.
And so I think that was just it. Like it started decades ago. This goes, yeah. I mean, honestly, we can say that this started back on the Ivory Coast.
Oh yeah. So Colin, like, where did it all start for you? Can you give me a time like what was y'all first experience with racism? Colin, I wanna hear from you first.
I don't know. I mean, I can't really pinpoint it. Nobody's blatantly come up to me and call me the N-word or, I can think of times where I've heard people say racist things, but directed towards me, nothing really comes to mind, to tell you the truth. I mean, for my own kind, I can say that black people have said racist things towards me, but, I don't know, it seems like most white people around me seem to check themselves. I'm not invincible or anything like that, but the white people that I surround myself with, they tend to be mindful of what they say before they say it. I can think of one example, but I don't want to go there because I don't want to put that person out there.
Got you. Well, I mean, but what do you think that is? Like, why do you think they don't try you?
I think maybe it's because I'm a good judge of character, so I don't just hang out with anybody. I don't just talk to anybody. Before I get close to you guys already know. I mean, we've known each other for a long time, and I don't even tell you guys everything about my life that's going on. I disappear for months on end.
That's why we're grilling you right now.
Right. So I treat everybody that way. So I'm not saying they don't have the ammo to say anything disrespectful to me. They just never really tried me like that. I don't know. I don't feel like I'm intimidating. Maybe I am. Not sure.
You are pretty tall, man.
I mean, but even tall people have been tried before, but I really haven't had a experience. Like I said, though, I've heard people say racist things.
If I'm speaking from a personal standpoint, I mean, I drive around all the time in the line of work that I'm in, and I go to predominantly white neighborhoods to do my job. And I can say there have been a few times where I have been talked to by law enforcement where somebody called on the color of my skin. It was suspicious for a black man to be in their neighborhood. And I think that stems all the way back that goes back to slavery. Not to be cliche about it, but these are just the facts. That slavery happened in America. It evolved into several progressions after that, but the problem never went away. It never went away. And slavery's gone, but but like the progression from slavery to Reconstruction to segregation to the civil rights movement to what we have today in police brutality and disproportionately targeting Black men and women is just, in my eyes, the problem never went away. So that's why I want to talk about what the effects of that had on our lives, how we move and how we interact with other people and other races, other Americans. And I just want to just kind of get my experience on it. Like when I'm driving through these neighborhoods, it's almost second nature to me now to take my wallet and put it on the dashboard or put it in the seat next to me, or, crack my windows, not have my music too loud, because I know I'm more susceptible to be getting pulled over. Like these are just mannerisms that are built in me now because I'm being extra careful not to stir the pot. I will probably teach my son the same thing just to be on the safe side. I want it to get better, but I live in a world where I acknowledge these realities exist. And, what are some of the things that y'all might do different?
Knowing me, I'm not really too one to shy away from voicing my opinion. I myself have had multiple run-ins and experiences with racism myself. I think that's why it's the one thing I'm most vocal about, because I feel like I've experienced it since moving out here at the age of 16. I've experienced it in a lot of facets of my life. At school, we had people putting cotton on one of our friends' lawns, showing up in all white. Even at my work, I had a manager tell me to thank God that I was Black so I could blame someone else for my shortcomings. I also had those a run-in with the police where a former friend of ours decided to steal money from a local establishment that I frequent. And when the cops got there, they were given a description of the male. They were told, who did it. They had him in a police car, and we're all standing outside, and they come up to me, like it's all of us are out standing. I'm just standing there, like talking to one of my friends at the time, and he comes up to me and he like grabs me and throws me up against the wall. And the manager at the time like came out and told the cop like, hey, like it wasn't him, like he had nothing to do with it, he wasn't even there. And the cop goes, well, the money didn't just disappear from out of nowhere. And so it was at that moment, I'm laying there, I'm like standing there, my hands are like up against the wall, and I'm like, yo, like I know why I'm being searched. I'm being searched, I'm Black. And the manager of the establishment, like, Chris, like just go back inside. Just go back inside. So I went back inside and the whole situation got resolved. But since then, like throughout all my experiences, all that has made me like the only thing that has like changed for me is I now watch who I'm around. I now watch who I associate with. Because unlike Colin, I was the opposite. I would be friends with everybody. I would make excuses for everybody. I would, oh no, it's cool that they're not. No, that's not the case. So it's like I had to have a better judge of character. So now I am a better judge of character. I still write my music up. Like, I still have my windows down. My windows are tinted. However, I have a false sense of security because I have a military ID, which in these here parts, 9 times out of 10 works in my favor. But most of my experiences, I mean, while I have experienced racism in the military, can't tell you about those. I really haven't changed too much aside from my social interactions. What I do on a day-to-day basis it's just about the same.
Do you think that some of your friends might look at that military ID like, quote unquote, you one of the good ones?
Because definitely.
Like,
I've been pulled over a couple times. I have a left foot. I mean, I'm a couple more points from getting my license taken. I have a left foot. I've had enough encounters with police to know it's not all police. But nobody ever said it's all police. But I've also had enough encounters to be able to tell the difference of a cop giving me a pass and things going sideways until you see that military ID. It's just like when you see me in uniform, you're not going to treat somebody like that the same way when I'm in uniform. If I'm in my military uniform, I'm not going to, they're not gonna hassle me. But when I take it off, still nigga, you know. So it's
but now when they see your ass, I'm about to
yeah, like
they gonna listen to this podcast and be like, oh, he's the one.
I mean, hey, I've learned to drive better, so I mean, I don't see myself getting pulled over. I'm 6 months clean, but I just that military ID it does come. Honestly, you look at America and the way it's set up. The military is supposed to be support our troops. You're not supposed to talk bad about the military. That's why the Colin Kaepernick protests got derailed so much. It's a sign, like it's a form of it is a form of privilege. I'll say it right now, it's a form of privilege. Like, and I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I do use it to its fullest extent when it's necessary for me.
You deserve it. Thank you for your service.
Shut up.
Colin, like, what's your superpower, man? Like, what do you do? Like, you befriending these people, you finding good ones, and you know, ain't none of them tried you. What's the secret, man?
No, I wouldn't call it a superpower. I'm just extremely selective. That's all.
You're a hermit.
I'm extremely selective about pretty much anything in my life, you know, and you especially got to be selective about the people that you bring in.
Yeah, so like I said, we all got.
People are your friends.
Exactly.
Even though people are your friends, like they not gonna, they may see eye to eye on everything. They're not gonna have your back on that. Like just because they say a Black Lives Matter, but how deep does that go? You know what I'm saying? Is it just you just see the surface issue, or do you see everything else that we see? Do you see everything else that we are affected by? Because it's not just. This is just one issue that we have to deal with racism. This police brutality, and that's one issue. So, do you see, like, Daryl, you remember we went to go look at a house, and we pull up, and all of a sudden, like, we went to go look at a house, and we're sitting there. We had a schedule where it's like a 2:30 showing. We go to sit because we get there, and there's a car sitting out front, like a guy waiting in the car. So Daryl goes up to the house. You know, the realtor goes in, and like, I'm like, Daryl, like, there's somebody sitting on the couch. He's like, what? I'm like, Daryl, there's somebody sitting on the couch. So like, he opens the door. He takes the key out the lockbox. He got the lockbox. He opens the door, and he's like, hello, realtor. He announces himself. And the lady comes up like, oh, like, you still here? Okay, well, Nate's not supposed to be in the house. We're doing the showing. So we're like, fine. So we go out and sit in the car, and dude out there in his car waiting. He's like, oh, I'm just waiting on them too. They're about 10, 15 minutes. We're like, all right, cool. We sit down. We sit in the car. We waiting. When I tell you a black Suburban, like, it was a black Escalade, just came whipping around the corner and pulled up in the driveway. I thought it was the FBI. I thought it was a trap. What is going on? The family gets out. The husband and wife gets out, and they're looking at us like yeah, like we here for the showing. Like we here to see the house. Oh, the house not on the market no more. What? We just confirmed this was it's like the same day. It was like a matter of hours. We just spoke to your realtor who set this whole thing up. What you mean? Like it's not just police brutality that we got to deal with. It's systemic, and it's not even systemic. It's just like this aura in America. Culture. I mean, yeah, it's culture.
It's culture. It's the culture. It's racism. Like, enough people not talking about this. Racism is embedded in our culture. You shouldn't be in shock to hear that. The country was built on the free labor of slaves. White people did not like black people. So much so that they wrote it into the Constitution that we weren't even whole human beings.
They had to negotiate for 3/5.
Exactly.
We had to be negotiating.
We wasn't human at first. We didn't
get the full part. He got 3/5.
Wasn't human at all at first. But I say that to say, like, going forward, what do we do to change this? How do we get from a place of having no rights as people to being treated equally and with equity? How do we make amends here in America to, one, ease the tension, and two, progress as a nation? Colin, can you enlighten us on that? I know you got some ideas over there.
When it comes to making a change, people like us, there's not much we can do, in my opinion. Okay. We've been dealt a hand that I'm not saying we have to live with, but we don't have that much say so in the matter of with how things are ran in this country and how things are done. We can do all the yelling, the rioting, the protesting that we want, and we may get minimal change, but that change is at the mercy of white people. Okay. In my opinion, the only way that things are going to full-blown change is white people alone have to make the change because they have all the power. They have all the juice.
All right, Dr. Umar.
Damn.
Regardless of what we do. Now, in my opinion, the protests are cool. I like the protesting. It's good to have a voice, be able to say what you want to say. But the looting and the rioting, that's not going to get it done.
You ain't listen to my Chris's Corner, did you?
That doesn't mean I have to agree with it.
No, it doesn't mean you have to agree with it, but it's a historical fact that it does get it done. It's a historical fact.
Okay, but at the pace that you want it done. So black people want equality across the board right here, right now, which we deserve, which we do need. But regardless of how loud you yell, you're not going to get it as fast as you want it.
Colin, you know it took a week?
No, it took more than a week.
No. That bill was in Congress for a while. It was sitting there.
It took
King
more than
died
a week.
on April 4th. It was passed the 11th. It took a week.
It took more. Okay, that bill passed, but it took more than a week. Slavery's been around since the 1600s.
I get
it's taken hundreds of years.
I get it, but no change is going to happen overnight.
No, it's not. But who makes the changes? It's not us. It's the white people that run the show.
Right.
They're the ones that have to want to change.
I agree with that, but you got to put pressure on their neck.
Rub.
You got to put pressure on their neck. Like, ironically, like that's probably a bad time to use right now.
You think this is hurting them? Us burning stuff down?
Yes.
This ain't hurting them.
Listen. I was on the phone with Daryl, and I made this point. People talking about how black folk are burning stuff down in their own communities and all this stuff. They don't own that stuff. That's not black. Majority of the business being burnt down are not black-owned businesses. The media goes and find, they go and find one or two small black-owned businesses and be like, oh, look, you're hurting your own. That's not necessarily the case. One dude whose business got burned down, put up a GoFundMe for $100,000, raised $600,000 by the end of the week. We take care of our own. We understand that. Those businesses getting burned down is Target. It's the big corporations. Target has already stood by the protesters and said, we can rebuild.
My point exactly.
But that's my point. Riots work. It shows that it worked. If the businesses don't care about it, burn it down. Burn it down, because you know who cares? The businesses don't care. You know who cares? The politicians care, because it's a reflection on them. What's happening in your district? What's happening in your state? What are you doing about it? Nothing. President Johnson. Look at President Johnson's response to the riots of 1968. Immediately, he passed that legislation in response to the riots. He saw what was happening. He was like, we need to do something before this gets out of hand. What can we do?
Well, what do you expect? If this is and we have the riots right now. We're having the riots. The riots are going on in multiple cities. There are 21 states right now with National Guard deployment.
Yep. They
are getting ready to enter states of emergency. So what is the next step? Now we've got everybody's attention. What do we want? We know we want police brutality to stop, but how do we do that?
Intensify oversight, mandatory use of body cams, independent police review boards for murders and crimes committed by police. I mean, there's a lot of room for reform in here. If a cop is murdered, if a cop is brought on charges of killing an unarmed citizen, make it mandatory. They should be tried outside of their district. Give an outside DA, because they work with them. They work with the DA's office. So to avoid corruption, if you want full transparency, cool. We can move it to the next city over, like they did with the lady in Texas. They moved her trial to a different city. And you get a different jewelry pool. It can't be tainted. It ain't your family, your friends, your neighbors. There is multiple things that can happen. That's the type of change that's what I want to happen. Also, it's not just on us right now. It's not just on the police mayor, the governor, and the president as well. It's an election year. This is prime opportunity. We see what's happening. We see what's going down. We see who quiet. Okay, you want the criminal justice? Vote for those with the reform that you want to see.
Are those white people?
You said what?
Are those white people? Are those allies? Are we? See, I think I see where Colin is coming from. The point is, we can't do it on our own. So if you burning down these white businesses that are supposed to be our allies that agree with us and stand with the protests, then how do you garner the support to enact change?
It's already there. Like I said, look at Target. Target got burned down. Target got messed up. You know what Target did? Target stood by the protesters and said, we'll rebuild. Whatever.
Made more money. Target has been shifting to e-commerce for years anyway. They probably did them a favor by burning that building down.
Probably, but that's what I'm saying. I get it. It's gonna happen. The system is corrupt as a whole. Let's acknowledge that. This entire system is corrupt. However, this is why, like my sister Charity, I give her credit for flipping my vote from voting for Bernie against all costs to going for Joe Biden.
What?
Because yes, it
I don't get no credit.
You get none. Okay, you try to use a man's words against them. You get none. Because right now we see in the political atmosphere, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. Trump is inflammatory. And she was like, who is more, it's not a matter of who's going to do it, who's more likely to get it done? Who's more likely to even attempt or even to try to inflict the change that we want to see? Mm-hmm. Honestly, Biden is more likely to get it done than Trump. Because we've seen his response to everything. We've seen the man right now is holed up in a bunker. Johnson came out, met with everybody, put out legislation. Let's get this thing taken care of. Where's Trump?
Tweeting.
Silence. Except for on Twitter. Like leadership. I'm gonna get it. We do have white allies. Again, I hate to sound cliche. It's not all white people. I get that. But we do have white allies. There is progress being made. But progress being made now is like you having a 10 gig file that you need to upload and it's been at 1% for the past 10 years.
Well, I have a different theory. Why don't we collectively, and I know this will be difficult, collectively back our own political party? I've crunched the numbers on this. There are 14.7 million Black people in this country. And that's including biracial Americans. Okay? I believe there are another 4 million of them that'll be eligible to vote in this upcoming election. If we started a campaign to start donating money to a political action committee, a PAC, to back candidates that had reform, a Black agenda for our people, I think we could take that, those memes that go around and say Black people spend trillions of dollars every year. Why don't we take that $1 trillion, move it over to one of those PACs and create our own reform, create our own party that represents Black people and put representatives in our state and build from the ground up? I'm looking at Dearborn as an example, where they literally came into a suburb of Detroit and built a community up, bought all the businesses, then elected one of their own residents to represent the entire district. That's a blueprint that we should follow, and that's feasible. We have areas in Detroit we can do that in. We have areas in Baltimore we can do that in. We can do that. It looks like it's already happening in Atlanta. T.I. said stop burning down these businesses because this is the Mecca. Well, he called it Wakanda. I disagree with that, but I got his point.
I got his point.
So, what do y'all feel about that? What are some actionable steps that we can take to make sure that we not leaning on our allies? Because frankly, I'm tired of the argument that we need other people to build ourselves up.
We need to lean on white people. That's it. That's the end all be all.
We all
need them.
They're
the ones that they got all the power. That's it.
So I hear you. We don't have the leverage right now, is what you're saying. We don't have the leverage.
Daryl, we don't have the leverage because we have yet to actually get behind a unified fight. Mm-hmm. That's why we don't have the leverage.
Yeah, so why? That's what I'm saying. Why are we taking cues from the LGBTQ community, who's less than 1% of the population, to get bills passed and get things reformed?
Because
they organized real quick.
Because just that 1% is people who identify as that. It's a lot of people in Washington who identify as that who is just quiet. That's how. I'm saying we can't find 1% of Black people to get together and identify as that and do the same thing that they did. We can, but again, so if you look at we had this argument about the two-party system. If you look at that, you can make that change maybe at the state rep level, but when you talking about the level two, but when you talking about trying to get there to incite change, into bro, I can tell you right now, you're not gonna get those Black conservatives. You're not gonna get the Candace Owenses and the whoever John James. They're not gonna switch over because their ideals is aligned.
Look, I don't think they need to switch.
A couple million.
I don't think they need to switch.
So it'll be a moderate candidate or a moderate PAC?
A lot of Black people I talk to have conservative views. That's why I'm saying, what if we just started our own party and then voted the way, like Colin was talking about last week, voted our interests?
If we're being frank, Black conservatives don't vote in their interest.
They don't. They don't.
They actually no. Let me get that. They vote in their interest, but not their interest, not the interest of black people for themselves personally. That's the difference in that, because that's where the money is. Like, look at Candace Owens, like tap dance and everything, bro. That's because that's what pays her. That's what keeps her platform. Because if she was to switch,
but that's what I'm saying. That individualistic view, like most of the famous black conservatives that I know have, I think that's what's keeping a lot of other people from quote unquote switching sides, like going from Democrat to Republican. But if you look at the numbers, man, this is just dumb. 87% of black people vote Democratic and get nothing for it.
But you see why though. But I mean, we touched on this a while ago. But you see why they do. Because honestly, that people say Democrats ain't did nothing for you. Honestly, Democrats have done more for Republicans. If the next Trump supporter mentions me about the black unemployment rate, I'm kicking him in the throat. Like that's the one thing. That's the one thing you got, the black unemployment rate, which at this point is BS. Because look at unemployment right now.
Yeah,
like they say, because of this pandemic happened.
You got money in the stock market, you might want to watch it because unemployment ain't ever been at 25%. Like this is historic territory we about to drop in on.
It's ridiculous, but at the same time, like the black community, like it's honestly to me, it's a pipe dream because I can't name one movement in my lifetime that everybody full force got behind. Because while we sitting here saying Black Lives Matter,
that's fired.
A lot of black folk ain't behind it.
Well, I think that's more about the messenger than the message.
But we allow ourselves to be manipulated. We allow the narrative to be changed. Because if you listen to it, if you want to hear the truth about something, you shut up and listen. You will put yourself in a position to be open to hearing it. You're able to decipher what's real, what's true, and what's fact, and what the message really is.
So that's what I'm saying. If we can all agree on, because somebody put the memo out, we burning down Target. Okay, somebody went out there and was like, "This is what we about to do, y'all," and it's happening across the country. So there's like either whether it's mob mentality or they playing the game of follow the leader. Somebody is giving the direction, or multiple people are giving the direction. This is what we need to do to get their attention. So once we have their attention, how do we pivot that into actionable steps? How can we use our platform? How can we, get this message to people that we want change and we are open to, trying something else? Because the peaceful protest did not work. Wasn't being paid attention to.
No. Colin?
White people.
What you got, Colin? Come on, man. More white people.
Yep. White people are the answer.
So you going with the white savior standpoint?
To the majority.
They can't do nothing.
I don't buy that, because when you say minorities, what do you look at? The minorities are like cut off and separated. However, the minority as a whole overwhelms the majority.
It doesn't matter. The white people have all the money. They have all the power.
That's true.
That's where it works.
They do have all the money. That's a fact.
They can cut every black person off at the drop of a dime if they want to. If you look at the guns that are bought, all these gun laws, they're for us. They're to keep us from getting guns.
Yep.
They're not for the white people. White people can get all the guns that they want. But as soon as 20,000 black people start buying AR-15s, best believe them gun laws, they're going to be a lot more stricter.
Illegal.
We don't have the power like white people do.
Colin, did you just make a tie to gun background checks to the criminal justice system? No,
bars.
No, we're not gonna touch. I ain't gonna touch that right now.
Bars, but exactly what Colin is talking about is what I would want to do. Why can't black people start an NRA? Why can't we get an organization together? Why can't we get an organization? Well, I'm saying as far as like an organization, if we started something like the NRA where we give these politicians grades for how they vote toward black agendas, something holding them accountable, and we start funding that organization with money to back candidates that align with our views, I think we get more done than burning down the Target. We got their attention. Now, what do we want from them? Why isn't Target putting that money up? Take that insurance money instead of rebuilding that Target and put it into one of our super PACs.
Because burning down the Target is immediate. It's immediate. The effect is immediate, and the response is going to be immediate. Building a PAC like that, you're going to take time because you're going to start off small, and you're going to be begging people to come join. There's not that. While there is legal gun owners, black legal gun owners in America, is not a lot. So, but however, to build that to the point where you get powerful, that's going to take a lot of time. You get quicker results by burning down the Target.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. While we have the momentum,
by burning down the Target.
While we have the momentum, why aren't we organizing that money? People are donating right now to these funds. I think Aisha Curry put something up today saying donate to the ALCU, donate to all these other organizations that's bailing people out of jail. Ask people to donate for a fund for black people to get some political voice so that we can change the laws that we complaining about.
You think white people can't put the kibosh on that?
I think it'd be a lot harder. I think they'd get a lot more resistance if we had some representation in the room.
All you need is the right judge,
how do you get in the room?
Law.
You have to be allowed to get in the room.
You gotta have some money.
White people.
You gotta have some money.
Or you gotta have an ally. I agree with Colin. You do need white people.
I'm not saying we don't need white people, but I'm saying we can do stuff for ourselves too.
We can. However, that is limited. We are limited in what we can. And the system is set up for us to be handicapped. It's been set up this way for quite some time.
Okay, to an extent. I gave you the math on the last podcast. I think we are probably the first free generation of black people. Our parents was raised by people that grew up in segregation, saw the Civil Rights Act pass, saw some really racist shit, people getting assassinated over being allies with black people. What you think? You think your boy T.I. helped put some money up?
I honestly I rag on T.I. I rag on T.I. because because he 5'2" and then he puff his chest up on Instagram and everything. But I can see if it's an actual cause. I'll do more research into him, and if it's cause worthy, if it's something, I think he will get behind it. You get him, you get Killer Mike, you get these people who are actually strong voices within the black community who's always been preaching that same thing over and over again. T.I. is as far as I'm gonna go as far as that type of entertainer. Because I would leave Snoop out. Certain people, you have to, because you get them endorsing, when you get them supporting them, you got to take their BS with it too. And Snoop threatening Gayle and doing all the extra stuff that, it takes away. You tend to take away from the message, because if you're gonna do this, it's got to be clean as a whistle. Okay, you got to be above reproach.
So if we looking for Obama with Jeff Bezos' money, if we go in that approach.
First of all, Obama
beyond reproach.
Obama is
you
not
say
beyond
something
reproach.
bad about. Look, listen. I'm not talking about us. No. I'm talking about in the black community.
I was saying, man,
talking about in the black community. You cannot talk about Obama or Jesus.
I gotta focus, because I could go on. Don't get me started on Obama tangent.
Focus, man. Stay with me. Stay with me, man.
You could. Basically, yeah, Barack Obama with Jeff Bezos' money. But who is like that? Do we have any black billion? We got
Jay-Z. We got It's not a lot. Hold on. It's Jay-Z, Oprah, Kanye.
Okay, scratch Kanye. We already know where he stands.
But I'm saying, Colin is saying, so we need a rich white savior to get out of this hole.
Or we need a rich black person who's not easily compromised. Look at Oprah. Oprah used to be the voice of black people. She used to have those controversial shows back in the 90s where she had the big hair, where she used to sit there she used to address the racism on her shows. Now she don't do nothing but talk shit about Michael Jackson and everybody else, but she's silent on Jeffrey Epstein. She want to talk about R. Kelly, but you silent on everything. Where's Oprah now? Hold
on, because I gotta stop us real quick to let you know. Let me clarify. We are spitballing ideas here. We are not telling these celebrities how they should spend our money. If I had $1 billion, right now, seeing the civil unrest in my community, I would be donating or starting a super PAC to get more officials that are aligned with my views. That's my position.
They don't even have to spend. How many people? You know what? When the whole COVID shit started, all them celebrities came out trying to get people to donate. Oprah was one of them. Like, they ain't even got to spend their money. They are perfect at getting poor people to spend money to fund their causes.
Damn.
And that's how they make their money. She ain't got to donate nothing. Say something.
Colin, who's our white ally that would help us best in this situation? Do we need somebody with money, or do we need somebody with some political finesse?
You got to have power more than money. Typically, you don't have power unless you have money. Right now, our biggest ally would be Donald Trump. He would have to be our ally for this to work. We would need that dude to back us for changes to be made.
You gonna have to elaborate on this, bro?
Is it because he's president, or is it because he's got money?
Because he's president.
Okay.
That's why. His money has nothing to do with it at this point. He has the power to make changes. Obviously, Congress and the Senate fall into that, but he has the biggest voice.
Also, I think a caveat needs to be added. They need to share our views and actually, like, not do it just to fund it just because.
No, I disagree with that. I don't care what your views are as long as you do what I tell you to do.
You're out here taking dirty money.
I really don't give a damn what you do after you get this money, as long as you do what I asked you to do.
Yeah.
That's how it works. We got to give and take, man. This is it's a negotiation. You want this money, you got to do what I asked you to do with it.
And therein lies your problem. Because if you get somebody who's compromised, if you get somebody who's worried about their bottom line, if you get somebody who's worried about their brand, and so where their money goes affects their brand. So therefore, you have to censor what you're doing. You have to tone down your language. And like, that's how parties get corrupt. So then we would do all that, and we would be no better than the Democrats and the Republicans.
I ain't trying to be better than them. I'm trying to overcome them.
You can't overcome. If you're doing the same thing they do, you can't overcome them. Because you know why?
Why not?
Because you're already the minority. You are already the minority.
But they can be bought.
Who can be bought?
You saying that if everything is run by money, that means we just have to come up with a better price. And if they don't want to play ball with us, then they out.
But it's not going to work because what you said earlier is that you know some black conservatives who would stand with this pact.
But they like a super minority.
But they also they're going to want. You have not seen Congress? We pass a bill. All right, we want this. Oh no, we don't want that. So that's
what I'm saying. One or two things is going to happen. If all the black people leave the Democratic Party and decide we starting our own independent party, we elect a candidate or we put a candidate up that has our views, and let's say the conservative people still vote Republican. Mm-hmm. If we are 90% of a voting block, if the Democrats know that they can't win without our vote, don't you think they would do whatever they could to sway us back to their side? They're getting 90% of our vote. Like how many? I'm curious now to see how many black people voted in the last election, because the number is 87% went Democratic total.
I know a lot of black people did not show up.
Let me see. Those numbers are public.
Voted for Republican.
Who voted Republican?
1.3 million blacks voted Republican.
See, so we know that number was significantly bigger. So I can actually reverse engineer that. So 1.3 million voted Republican. We're not even going to count the independent party. We'll just do a measure that. So that was 13% of the vote was 1.3 million. 100% minus 87% leaves 13% for the Republicans, 1.3 million. 10 million black people voted Democrat in the last election. You don't think 10 million votes out of an election where I think it was only 42 million people voted last election?
Yeah, it was low. Numbers are very low.
There was 42 people voting in the last. That's a quarter. That's 25% of the vote, bro. You don't think if we move that to somewhere else, we could influence some change?
It's not going to move is because and this is not a jab at black people. I'm not trying to slight them. We're easily persuaded by our family members and the older generation, just like white people are easily persuaded. Okay, so if you look at the racist white people out there, that stuff is, like you guys said, it's learned. Okay, it's embedded in your mind. It's been embedded in our mind and maybe our kids' mind and definitely our parents' minds that if you don't go blue, you're a problem. Black people aren't that willing to sell their soul to the red, no matter what's said to them, no matter what's asked of them. It's sacrilegious if you do that. Republicans, they aren't in the business of trying to persuade black people. They're in the business of just persuading the rich. How many black people are rich? There ain't that many of us. Most of the people that are working right now, the essential, quote unquote, essential workers are black, and they're working for peanuts below the poverty line. They don't care nothing about us. Yeah, we'll take your vote. It's cool, but we don't need it like that. Us all going to the Republican side, it would take decades for that to happen. Not everybody just gonna flock to it.
We are young men.
Well, we're young, but if you put it out there, if you put that idea out there, it wouldn't happen this next election.
No.
Election after that,
definitely not.
Change would have to start with us teaching our kids and teaching our grandkids, and our kids teaching their grandkids. Vote for your Basically, it ain't gonna happen, bro. And if it was, it would take
so optimistic, man.
It's not, but the thing is, like,
no, there's optimism there.
Right, you just gotta be real. You gotta be realistic about it. Like, realistically, it ain't gonna happen.
If I'm gonna be honest with you guys, and this is me, I guess, cooning or being Uncle Tom, and I don't care. Okay, I try to be a realist as much as I possibly can. As bad as the world is now, the amount of effing up the police were doing to people back in the 50s and the 40s is far worse than the effing up that we're taking right now. Because back then, if you fought back, that's a death sentence. And what's happening to that police officer if he kills you? Probably nothing. Maybe a slap on the wrist. Nowadays, so when Martin Luther King died, and then when Malcolm X was about to turn the corner, and when he died, even though he died before Malcolm X, that did do something for us, and we are grateful for it. We have seen a big change in how we're treated. The majority of white people don't want to see us brutally murdered by the police. There's something good that's coming from it. Yet, it's still bad now, but give it 50 more years. I bet you it'll be better than it was today. Give it 100 more years. I bet you it'll be better than it was today. But all that change, it comes from white people. Yeah, protests, cool. Okay, us speaking up, cool. But time and white people are the determining factors in all of this. We're just the minority in all this.
We're gonna have to leave it on them bars because it's time for questions. First question we got comes from Rachel. How do I raise my biracial son as a white parent in this climate without black perspectives around?
Get some black friends. Yeah, get some black friends and ask them. Black friends that have interracial children that can tell you what they do to raise their child. Is because and I don't have an interracial child. You know, Chris, you can explain this better than I can. But you go through some struggles, I'm sure, raising your kid. And there's things that you're going to be able to tell them that white people could tell them, but it won't hit the same. So you can probably teach the mother of your child, hey, this is how you need to react with the young one when it comes to certain situations. And it's all about just having a black person in your corner that's going through the same thing you're going through.
Yeah, I mean, again, like you said, Colin, I have a biracial child, and one thing that's always I worry about this a lot. This is actually something I actually think about a lot, especially when stuff like this happens, because some of his family on the other side are they're Republicans. They don't actually see everything. We don't always see eye to eye on certain issues. And my biggest fear is, like, even when I visited the other side, like went up north or whatever, my biggest fear has always been like, are you going to protect him the way I would protect him? Are you able to identify what that little comment actually meant? Like, it's not just a hee hee ha ha. And so it's hard. Like, even as a black man trying to raise my biracial child, it's hard. So my only advice would be like, be open, be honest, at least try to gain some experience. Like, you may not deal with racism or deal with any racial experiences the same way as a black person would. But by having a biracial child, I'm pretty sure you probably either have had or you're gonna have somebody say something slick. My hand right then and there. Like, be his biggest supporter, be his biggest ally, because he's going to need it. He's raised around people that don't look like him. And at some point when he gets older, he's gonna realize, like, hey, I'm different and more than just one way. Be there, support him, stick up for him, guard him as much as possible.
Rachel, I'm a tell you, like I told my biracial cousin, need to learn how to cap, play the dozens, and fight. You're gonna have a tough time growing up around your black cousins if you don't know how to roast anybody. All right. Next question we got is a would you rather. Would you rather, Chris, eat somebody's chewed gum every time your breath stinks?
Man.
Or would you rather have somebody blow on you every time you were hot?
I thought that question was about to go so far left. What was it for? Eat somebody's gum?
Yeah, anytime your breath stinks, you got to eat someone's chewed gum or have somebody blow on you every time you're hot.
Ooh, I have somebody blow me every time I'm hot.
Really?
Yes, because, I mean, you're not going to be hot year round. Breath stinks 365 days out of the year. No.
Your breath stinks every day?
When you wake up in the morning, your breath don't stink?
I mean, I guess. I mean, I probably would go brush my teeth. I don't know.
That's why your hairline running back.
Colin, you taking the chewed gum or the hot breath?
I'll take the chewed gum because I'll just brush my teeth and use mouthwash and make sure my breath ain't stinking. That way I gotta
worry about COVID though.
My breath can be stinking then.
Oh my God. Damn. Y'all make good points. I hadn't even thought about that it might, like, we live in Michigan. It's cold 9 months out the year. So yeah, I'm probably taking dude that's blowing breath on me anytime I'm hot because I'm cold most of the year.
I can't stand when people blow their breath on my neck. They're like, yo.
You just Lance Stevenson all down your neck. Like,
man, I'm just like shuddering at that, man.
Oh my goodness. All right. So would you rather have a horribly corrupt government or no government at all?
Give me corrupt. Because we already living like that anyway.
Just gonna call it what it is, huh?
Pretty much.
Versus total anarchy.
I don't think I would personally survive with no government. Yeah, I'd rather have corrupt than no government.
Yeah, so like that's what I'm saying. Like, what is the government doing? Like, even though it's corrupt, like, what is it doing for you that's like, why do we need it?
Because
keeps
even though it's
alive.
corrupt, yeah,
there would be a purge if there was no government.
Right.
Purge was a dope movie. Y'all seen the first one?
Yeah, it's a dope movie, but how long could you survive in a purge?
Maybe a year or two.
So you want to live for a year
because I'm going out
as opposed to get 70, 80 years?
I mean, I agree with Colin. Like, I mean, it provides structure. Like, even though it's corrupt, it still gets the job done like most of the time. It's just going to take a couple of dollars out your pocket when you ain't looking.
You just saying that because they pay you.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. All right. So this is something that I think about all the time. And I already know what my answer is, but would y'all rather die in 20 years with no regrets or die in 50 years with many regrets?
Give me the 50 years.
You want a long life, huh? Long life.
20 years. I'll be in my 50s. I mean, that's not, dying in my 50s is not something to be proud of. And when I'm dead, I'm not thinking about anything. So bump it. Who cares?
I see. I got the same logic as you, but I'll take the 20 years if I don't have to look back on my life and I've done everything that I wanted to do.
Right. This ain't we talking about no quick death. Like, you don't realize you about to die. No, you about to sit and think and stew on, like, you feel it coming. Like, you got to think about some things. Like, you laying up there for a couple days.
There's an end game. and I know when I'm dead, it is what it is. That's
I don't
20 more
know.
years I can give to my kid. There's 20 more years I can give to my family.
I mean, when you make
As opposed to
logical
dying early
explanations
for
like
my
that,
own personal regrets or not having any regrets.
Man, you selfish.
why
You
you
gotta
got
live a
so
little.
much logic today? What the hell? Shit. Because like I'm sitting here like, look, I'd rather be 20 years, like just let me clear my conscience, like let me just like I'd rather be free of all this weight. But also at the same time, like you make a good point, like, like
You're dead. Who cares? You're not thinking about it when you're dead.
Would you rather be famous when you are alive and forgotten when you die, or unknown when you are alive but famous after you die? So imagine everybody forgot about Kim Kardashian after she died.
they will.
But then she got a sister, Penelope Kardashian, that becomes famous when she dies.
Doesn't really matter to me. I mean,
You did.
But you either Penelope or Kim.
Why so many death questions?
This is the succession. This is the order that it came in.
I would rather be remember me for as I was. I'd rather be remembered after I'm dead. Clearly I left a mark some way, somehow. Like my time here wasn't in vain. I did something worth being noted for.
That's admirable. Would you rather fart loudly every time you have a serious conversation or have to burp every time you kiss?
Burp.
probably burp, yeah.
Just don't burp in
my
her
work
face.
area includes some high-ranking officials, and we have some serious ass. I'm not about to be sitting there lighting it up. Even the one time I did. So we were sitting in this office area, like before you walk into like the back area. I'm sitting at the table like doing the test. Like nobody was in there, so I was like my stomach was wrong, but I had to finish my test. So I let one out. Like no way, it was silent too. Like I smelled it. Like, I knew like no lady did not let that bad way out. Some colonels, like a lieutenant, like walked in and they're like, "How you doing, Jones? Like, how you doing?" And they walked right through it. Like I know they smelt it. I know
That's
they
terrible.
did. I just got up and left. I got up and left.
That is terrible.
Like,
I'm adding this to the
remind me of
notes. I like this
Step Brothers.
site.
Like, is that ketchup? Is that?
He said I can taste
Is that
it.
ketchup?
We were shrunk to 6 inches tall. Okay. We were shrunk to 6 inches tall. Now we got to fight. We drafted household items to use in our battle. The rules are we are going to pick our items from oldest to youngest in a serpentine battle. So that means Colin's going to go first. Chris, you're going to go second. I'm going to go last in the first round, and then I'm going to start the second round, and we're going to keep going up and down until we all got 4 weapons. 4 weapons of mass destruction for a 6-inch high private eye. That makes sense to you guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
My first one's a paperclip.
Mine would be a thumbtack.
Shit. All right. Y'all went fast on that. Okay. Shit. I am going to get a dust bunny.
All right.
Yeah. I'm getting a listen, hold on.
You carry that at 6 inches?
A dust bunny?
Yeah, a dust bunny. If I grab a dust bunny, right? Then while y'all duking the shit out, I got like camouflage.
Wow.
And I'm gonna be the lone survivor. So I'm gonna hide behind this dust bunny.
Wow.
Or if I need to, I can ball it up and throw the shit at you.
You 6 inches. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the next one?
Yep. So that, yeah. So all right. So then after I got my dust bunny, then I am going to get some staples. So now I got my camouflage, and I got one of those screen type knives that I can hook y'all with.
Okay. I see your staple, and I'm going to go with a string.
String?
I'm gonna go with string.
Fuck you gonna do with a string?
Don't worry, it'll all come together. I'm gonna go with string.
Okay.
Kyle?
A match.
Throw it. All right, go again, Kyle.
A match.
Toothpick.
Toothpick.
Yeah, I'm grabbing a toothpick as well. That was my toothpick goes with the string.
What if it's only one toothpick though? What you gonna pick up then, Chris?
If it's only one Q-tip.
Q-tip. You think I can lift a pen at 6 inches? 6 inches. That's like what? As big as my iPhone?
This is about 6 inches. It's about just the same size. You can't.
So the pen would be.
If you can't pick it up, you can't effectively fight with it.
What if I used it like what are those poles? A pole vault to jump over my. No, let me see.
However you want to use it is up to you. But I mean, that's what you want to use, and by all means.
That don't help me whoop on you though. I'm trying to be tactical with my last 2 picks here because y'all gonna pick after me, and then I'm gonna be at a disadvantage.
Come on, bro. Pick something.
Dust bunny, a staple, and y'all both got sharp objects.
Mm-hmm.
This is tougher than I thought it was gonna be.
8. I already know what I'm about to say. 7. Come on. You dragging this out?
Oh, hold on. A bottle cap.
All right, cool.
I got a bottle cap.
Drive. Mine is a USB drive.
You know you're gonna have to explain this, right?
Yes.
USB drive. Hold on, I had one more pick.
No. Go ahead.
Okay, hold on.
I'm taking forever for one. Jeez.
I got a bottle cap. I got a bottle cap and a fork.
Okay. USB drive. Even though I don't know if you can't pick up a pen, I don't know how you're gonna pick up a fork, but
I can just hold the fork.
Okay.
Hold on. Yeah, hold on. You got a USB drive, a thumbtack, Q-tip, string. You done. Colin, what's your last pick?
Corner of a piece of paper.
Oh, I was gonna pick that too.
What?
I was gonna pick that.
Why?
Give somebody a paper cut. 6 inches.
Probably bleed out, right? All right, so hold on. Let me reverse engineer this logic for you, right? So my battle stance right now is I have my dust bunny in place, okay? And I have my bottle cap strapped to my arm at 6 inches tall. So my defense is on 10 right now. You're not going to be able to see me moving behind the dust bunny because you ain't even expecting that to be blowing around the floor. It's light. I can ball it up and throw it at you as a weapon. Then I can expand it back out to hide myself. And then anything you throw at me, I got the bottle cap to bounce it back off. Okay? And if you do get too close, I stab your ass with the staple. Or if I fold the staple hard enough, you think I can turn it into a boomerang? Like I could throw the staple and it'll come back to me?
Staples aren't aerodynamic enough to be a boomerang.
Okay. All right. Well, I still got the stab action. And then if you charge me, I got the fork under my arm. So you're going to get poked by the prongs of the fork before you even get to me. My defense system is flawless. So, Chris, I don't know how you getting through with a Q-tip, but go ahead and explain your theory here.
My Q-tip and string is to make a bow and arrow. With that, and take my thumbtack. Like if I'm going up against you, I take my thumbtack. I shoot it at you. But I'm also faster than both of you combined. So while you're defending yourself from the thumbtack, I'm using my USB drive, which is also like a BOGO stick, also / shield. And also expands up with a mini blade, with a rectangular blade. I'm using that to defend and attack at the same time.
I need some clarity. How you figure you faster than us and we all the same size?
First of all, we are not all the same size. Second,
we all 6 inches.
I will dust the 3. Oh yeah, we are 6 inches. I'm still faster. That doesn't mean the same size, so we are not faster though. I will dust all 3, both of y'all in the ring. You have behind your dust bunny, which can cloud your vision because it clouds vision on both sides. So you all up in your dust. It don't even matter. What the hell Colin got?
Colin got a match, a toothpick, a paper clip, and a corner of a piece of paper.
Yeah, Colin going pyro with it. So I don't know what my defense. My USB drive may be able to deflect it, but he ain't getting too close. I'm just guarding my face behind my shield. And use my thumbtack as a sword.
Colin don't got no defense. He all offense over here. How you gonna win, Colin?
Huh?
You said you ain't think that far ahead.
No, not really. Do the best
all offense on this side. But yeah, that's the end of the show, man. And let me see if our tools want to act right this week. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of The Black Umbrella. Comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next week.